Hi everyone, Refiloe Mpakanyane here. Thanks so much for checking out our full interviews of the special Focus by African Tech Roundup on digital transformation on the African continent. Now, just as a reminder, of course, we have got snippets of these conversations on the African Tech Roundup podcast. So if you haven't listened to the podcast yet, do check it out. And of course, you can follow and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. But what we are doing right here is letting you in on the full conversations that I had with various C-suite leaders in the telecommunications industry and just getting their insights on what digital transformation looks like in the various subsects of telecommunications for them. Of course, how it benefits business, most importantly, how it benefits end users and civilians across the entire continent. I was able to have these conversations on the sidelines of the inaugural NOVACOM Africa Summit. And of course, the focus this year was digital transformation in Africa. And much of what we also focused on during this time is how to connect the next billion. We know that Africa has got 1.4 million civilians, 60% of whom are under the age of 25. So I think everyone in the room definitely felt the urgency to drive some solutions that were workable and implementable as quickly as possible. Now, the prospect of speaking to my guest on this episode really got me excited, so I snatched up the opportunity to sit down with Elhad Kassim, who's the GM of Subsea at Comoros Cables. When one thinks of Comoros Islands, the last thing that they're associated with is technology, never mind subsea fiber cables. But this island nation of just around 1 million people in that population is incredibly ambitious, and I speak to Mr. Kassim about his mandate as the GM of Comoros Cables, but most importantly, the rather specific vision and the rather ambitious vision that Comoros Cables has for its future of essentially snapping up and making connections with everybody. The scope of the mandate for Comoros Cables is incredibly wide and incredibly ambitious, but Elhad Kassim lays out such a beautiful story and such an inspiring story of what a small island nation of about 1 million people in population can actually achieve when they put one foot in front of the other and take this ambitious journey one step at a time. Let's check out the video and you can see for yourselves how Comoros Islands is going to capitalize on their unique geographic positioning to make the most of their ambitions. The first question that comes to mind when one sees Comoros Island on the agenda for this NOVACOM Summit, right? If anybody thinks of owners of Comoros Islands, then what they do think of is, I guess, that old description or cliche, which might be the perfumed islands or the fragrant islands. So they think of Comoros and its output mainly as agricultural or spices, fragrant spices, right?
Yeah,
whether it's lag or vanilla heartbeat, along those lines. So talk to me, please, about, and I say that, and of course, Comoros does have one of the world's smallest economies. Yeah.
In Africa.
One of Africa's smallest economies.
Yeah.
And that means that your work and the scope of your work is, firstly, quite ambitious, and it has to be, but quite welcome in this instance. In 2013, when Comoros Cables was established by presidential decree, could you just outline for us what the baseline, what the starting point was for Comoros Cables and what it is that you needed to do in order to access the subsea market, cable market?
Okay, thank you for this question. About the creation of Comoros Cable, the first operator company in Comoros is Comoros Telecom. And then when the first subsea cable arrived in Comoros, landing in Comoros in 2010, Easy Cable, is Comoros Telecom who managed this cable. And up to 2013, our government decided to open the market, telecommunication market, to deliver a second license in telecommunication. So as Comoros Telecom manager subsea cable is known normally to be operator of telecom and manage also subsea cable. So the government decided to share the company to have a company who will just to manage the infrastructure of subsea cable, and another company to manage just telecommunication and mobile telecommunication. So in 2013, our government separates the two companies to create Comoros Cable to manage just subsea cable, and Comoros Telecom just to manage about telecommunication network and mobile telecom. And then after 2 years in 2016, another company arrived in Comoros, is a telco company limited by Telma in Madagascar. It's now the second company in the Comoros Islands.
That's quite a dynamic space, or quite a busy space for, as you say, such a small population.
Yeah.
How is your your growth being plotted as well as set as a company? Fundamentally, what you've set yourself up, or what the goal that you've set yourself up for, is to transform or to use ICT as a lever for socio-economic development in the country. How have you gone about doing that?
About the market, as you say that Comoros, our population is less than 1 million. So it's not easy for the both company. But, if there are a competition, every company would like to make more about this, because there are some time that the market is beginning to decreases. So the regulator company, regulator agencies that managed by the government decided to have some reglement to growth the market and the economy. And then now is perfect.
Yeah.
Because everyone work. And then we have important population in French that every year they come in Comoros to grow the population. So it is.
Talk to me through those regulations. What were some of those regulations that, number one, were able to help Comoros Cables thrive, and that were able to foster competition? Because ultimately, from an end user perspective, the point or the necessity of competition is to help with innovation, right, amongst the competitors, but ultimately to bring down price points and make it accessible and affordable for them.
Okay, about the regulator, I think that when we have more company in telecommunication or about IT, it's also important to have regulator agencies that behind there are a government, because there are the customer, this is the population, and also they have operator. Between them, they have the regulator operator to manage the both operator telecom, to have, what can I say, to have the right competition.
Sure.
If there are not a regulator, cannot have the right competition between the both operators.
You say the vision, further to that question, you say the vision of Comoros Cables is to make the Comoros a hub of broadband connectivity. And you speak to Comoros' geopolitical and strategic positioning. Just explain that for me, and how it is that you want to leverage that. What makes Comoros' placing and positioning strategic?
Yeah, of course. That we have this idea, this purpose to become the hub of interconnection, because Comoros is located for the perfect place for the geopolitical places. It's located middle of Africa. We have what can I say? As we say in the beginning, that Comoros is located in Mozambique Channel. So we have the possibility to connect in the Asia and the north of Africa, go to the Europe, Mediterranean Europe, and also we can also connect it for the south of Africa, as there are many countries in South Africa. So the position now, if Comoros, we can have more cable, and then we can do the connectivity for the country who would like to go to, or the operator would like to connect to Asia or Europe or the east of Africa. So would like to enjoy this this position to become the hub of subsea cable.
Sure.
Yeah.
Talk to me about where you stand right now on your way to that goal. How far have you come in terms of reaching that vision or making it happen?
For our vision about
About becoming a hub.
Yeah, now when a Comoros cable is created, we will not just one cable. This is easy cable. This is first subsea cable landed in Comoros, and then after 5 years, another cable. This is a region cable, called Refiloe cable. It connected the Indian Ocean islands, Madagascar, Mauritius, La Réunion, and go through to Kenya. See the second cable, and now since the beginning of this year, another cable, new one, is to Africa cable, is landing in Comoros in the beginning of this year. And we have also other projects about the subsea cable to develop infrastructure cable for this for the region to become the hub of subsea
Can you
cable.
expand on those other projects? Can you tell me more about those other projects?
No, for now the project that we have, we would like to connect some cable in the area like Mozambique and Kenya, and also Tanzania. This is the country is around us, and then can have one cable that we connected the country that we have not the sea.
Yeah.
Who need more capacity, like Rwanda, like Bujumbura. So I have some discussion now with the guy from Bujumbura would like to have more capacity in the region because they have not the access in the sea to have subsea cable. So we have to have some project with them to connect a cable between the region of the east of Africa.
And when you talk about these partnerships as well as these linkages that you have been able to make so far and that you will hopefully be making, you mentioned capacity and the need for that. I'm very curious about what the stumbling blocks or what are the necessary ingredients in order for you to fulfill that vision of a hub. On day one, that was yesterday, of the NOVACOM Summit, we had a fireside chat with Pedro Rabacal, the ex-CTIO of Safaricom, and he pointed out one barrier to entry, one difficulty that I guess many African companies in this space are having to contend with, and that is, of course, that 12-year cycle of cables coming on, catching up with nascent technology, and the fact that when Africans play in this space, what they are doing is having to be highly competitive, coming into a space also that is constantly evolving, and their interventions always have to keep up with this, the changes in the space. But most importantly, we need to be working and thinking ahead in terms of those 12-year cycles where innovation happens so quickly that hardware can fall behind it very quickly. Are these the sort of challenges that you've seen so far, and how are you dealing with them?
I don't know. I can respond this. It's not very easy for us.
Yeah.
It's not very easy for the market, but maybe I can say that we can try. As you know, we have a new company. It's not like the other company that they have more time, they have the experiences. So for us, we try to follow the market and understand exactly how the population or how the country would like to contribute more about this. So about this question, I think that it's not easy to have the version exactly.
The kind of capitalization that you need in order to implement your plans, what figures, what numbers are we talking about?
We have not an idea about this.
So what I'm saying is the kind of money and capital that is necessary in order for a Comoros Cables, first of all, to be established, but to remain competitive. What were you sitting with initially? And perhaps you could, just flesh out for us what you're looking at in terms of annual revenue in that space?
I think that we try to work with more operator in the region to develop the market for this, but it's not easy for us. As this is a new company, as you say, tell you that we progress bit by bit to arrive for our purpose, our objective. So maybe it take more time to arrive there.
Is there a specific company or perhaps another economy that you look to in terms of how they've been able to, number one, innovate, number two, grow exponentially within quite a highly contested sector such as
about the market?
cables? Yeah. Who do you look to as an example of what's possible? Is there anyone else that you do?
No, about the market, I think that I have not more idea about this because I have another department work about the growth and innovation of the market and Subsea, because it's not easy. You know, there are many companies now start to work about the Subsea cable in the East Africa and South Africa, like Koyo. There are many companies, so we'd like just to try to work them and to have one part of the market.
Yeah,
it's not easy because when you have more cable, we have more infrastructure. Maybe you can sell the capacity very cheap. It's not like us that we have not more company, there are more have not more customer. So you have to have more competitivity to work with them to develop your market.
What I'm quite curious about is something you spoke about, which is infrastructure. And of course, we know that from country to country on the African continent, there can be a huge difference in terms of the state of each country's infrastructure. And knowing that, and of course, as you've spoken about, your own partnerships with various countries on the continent, which are also landlocked, how have you been looking at or thinking around overcoming infrastructural disparities, but of course being able then to implement your plans effectively? Is there partnership? Is government rather as well? Is government quite key to making sure that these interventions, these deals, and these agreements actually do happen? What are the other stakeholders involved in ensuring the success of these?
I think about the infrastructure, is very important to have a partnership between the operator. If you would like to build infrastructure, you cannot just build on infrastructure. You have to share infrastructure. Many companies now in Europe, in USA, they build the same infrastructure and then the operator share the infrastructure.
Sure.
So when we decide to develop infrastructure in our area, so we have to collaborate to have a relationship between Comoros Cables and another company in the region. As the same for the Subsea cable, it's not possible to have just one company to build Subsea cable. When we would like to build a Subsea cable, you have to collaborate for many companies because every party have his island, we have the country, so we have to develop with them, to discuss with them, to work together to share after the infrastructure, because the infrastructure now is very, very high, and then the market grow rapidly. So we have to discuss with them, because if you cannot share, maybe the benefit is not the same. And then if you share the infrastructure, maybe you can have more the benefits.
Well, thanks for watching African Tech Roundup Special Edition on digital transformation on the African continent. You can leave your comments and your feedback below. And don't forget to check out the African Tech Roundup podcast on your favorite podcast platform. And of course, subscribe and like there. Check you out next time.